We've all been there before. We've played a game that you really wanted to like, but there was just one thing that ruined it for you. Well, this is a list of my top 10 games that were ruined because of just one little thing. Now, look, I enjoy games. I love playing lots of different types of games, and some of these games I'll still play. That's fine. Beginning at the bottom of the list, but as we go forth, these things that have been put in the game to ruin them become more egregious and more annoying to me. So I don't particularly like to play those games at the end. But look, if you like these games, that's absolutely fine. Okay. I'm not here to yuck your yum. This is just my personal opinion. And I'd like to know your actual games that you felt were ruined by just one little thing that was added into the game. All right, let's jump into mine. So, number 10, we're looking at Scythe. Scythe is a game that has a lot going for it. It has beautiful artwork. I love the artwork in this game. This Cold War feel of slowly encroaching on the territories and making sure you're not jumping into a combat until you're quite ready. And the action system is really awesome and not something that you see very much of. But there is one thing letting the game down. And for me, that's faction imbalance. The Rustviet faction is crazy powerful, being able to do the same action again and again and again. And on top of that, the kicker is they have the most powerful starting location as well. So for me, it's something I can't really look past. It really bugs me and irks me that that's in the game. My number 9 is Nemesis. Now, Nemesis has a lot going for it as well. It's got a grim, dark horror sort of vibe to it. You've awoken on this ship to find out that aliens have infested themselves in there, and you're trying to wipe them out while getting off the ship before you get killed. And you don't know who you can trust because not everyone is on your side. They might have some kind of secret agenda against you. Now, what is the problem with this game? It is a long game, and that's not necessarily a problem. The problem is the player elimination. If you're killed in this game, then that's it for you. You're on the sidelines, you're a spectator, and you're watching everyone else have fun. So I don't like that particular thing. I think Nemesis gets too easy of a pass for that particular thing. But it is well received, and I do see why people really enjoy it. My number 8 is Dinosaur Island. Who doesn't want to own their very own dinosaur amusement park? It's like a dream come true, right? Until you find out that these little pink meeples can come along and ruin your day. They're called hooligans. And every time one of them stays at your park, determined at random, they come out of a bag, you get no victory points, no money, nothing for your troubles. Now, I've only played this game once, but I was the poor unfortunate soul that picked up several of these hooligans through the whole game, and it completely tanked me. I could not recover from it. And it was just, it made me wonder, why? Why are hooligans in this game? I couldn't stand it. And everything else about the game I liked. But that one thing just ruined it for me. Okay, the next game on this list is Skull. Skull is a really interesting bluffing deduction sort of game. You have these cardboard tiles that you're placing in front of you face down, and you have to determine whether it's safe or not to flip other people's tiles. You're making bets on whether you can reveal flowers or skulls. Skulls you do not want, but you could actually be laying down these skulls to trick other people. The premise is really, really cool. The issue I have is with the components. You see, these tiles are cardboard and they come out of a punch board. Unfortunately, my game was ruined before it even hit the table, as I'd punched these cardboard tokens out of their little cardboard thingies, punch-out boards, I guess you could call them. 2 of them were torn, leaving marks on the back. So you can identify which token I've played in front of me. You can get around this, I guess, by placing your hand on top of the tiles. But man, it just really is a feel bad. It really ruined the game for me. And I think it's such an awesome game. The next game on this list is Smash Up. Who doesn't want to combine two different fantasy or creatures together to create this wonderful hybrid faction that's yours? And it is a really cool concept. The problem for me is the gameplay. You see, when you're playing these cards and you're shuffling two decks together to make this deck, you're placing cards on these bases and you want to meet a certain threshold of points, like a value on the cards, before you can score those cards. The problem with that is that there's no good way to keep track of this. You're constantly looking around, counting them again, and yeah, okay, you could probably use some counters to keep track of that. But what's worse is that some of these cards, their values change as the game goes on. Oh, when it's my turn, this one has more power than when it's on your turn. And oh, it's a nightmare to keep track of this. So that's why it's made this list. Smash Up. The next game on this list is Dwellings of Eldervale. Dwellings of Eldervale, I know. Put your pitchforks down. A lot of people really like this game. For me, it didn't quite get there, and I'll tell you why. It's a worker placement game where you're placing your workers on the board, and potentially combats can happen if workers happen to land on the same space. Now, the way combat is determined is by rolling a dice, and having more workers in a particular fight can sort of skew things in your favor, so that's a good thing. But you could roll 4 dice as opposed to the other person's 1. They roll a 6 and you roll a bunch of 5s. You've lost that combat. And what's worse is the punishment for losing these combats is so harsh. Your workers go into the underworld. And when you take your recall action, which is one of the most powerful actions in the game, you get no benefit from that. So it really, really hurts when that happens. And that was one thing I just couldn't look past. That's really rough. The next game on this list, Paperback. Now, I love a good word game. I like Words with Friends on occasion when I've got nothing to do and I want to chuck some words down. But the problem is that this is a deck builder inspired by that type of game where you're drawing 5 cards and you want to make words out of those cards. Deck builders are inherently very, very fast. You draw your cards, you play them, next turn, so on and so forth. But if you're looking at these cards, studying them, trying to build words out of the letters on those cards, that takes a while. And man, everything slows down to a real crawl in this game. Everything slows down and it gets boring, actually. So I wanted to like this game and just couldn't because of that. The next game on this list, I've heard a lot of praise about this particular one, and I'm sorry, I don't like this one. Cosmic Encounter. Cosmic Encounter, look, it's a glorified popularity contest. The fact that several players can win together is ridiculous to me. Why is that a thing? I played a game where 3 people teamed up and they just kept going in on each other's combats, and there was no real reason why they shouldn't, and they all just won together, and it was very anticlimactic, very uninteresting for me because I was just watching them, wipe the floor with everyone, and it was just ridiculous. It doesn't even feel like a game at that point. So Cosmic Encounter did not do it for me, and that rule is why it didn't work for me. Okay, now we're at number 2. And this one I really wanted to like. I heard some really good stuff about this one. You may be familiar with its sister game, Final Girl. I haven't played that one, but I have played Hostage Negotiator. So the idea behind this game is you are a hostage negotiator. You are trying to save hostages from a deranged man who's threatening to kill them, right? You play these cards out and you accrue these sort of negotiation points that you can use to buy further cards that you can play. Now, you can accrue some really powerful cards, but when you play them, every time you have to resolve them with a dice roll, and it could just do nothing, or it could do something really bad, actually. And it was like, why am I spending all my currency to buy cards that don't even do anything? It was really frustrating to me. And the dice mitigation of having to roll a particular face to discard certain cards so you could get another success, nah, that didn't do it for me at all. I really didn't like that. Yeah, hostage negotiator, for that reason, ended up getting sold by me. I could not stand that. And finally, number one, the most egregious little thing that was thrown into a game that really, really hurt it and made me go, nah, this game is not for me. This game is Time Stories. Now, Time Stories had a really interesting premise. You've been transported into a world, you're chucked in there, you know nothing about the world that you're in. And you're doing a lot of exploring and a lot of investigation to find out what's going on. In the first scenario, you're exploring this mental ward and you're trying to figure out what's going on because there's something sinister. There's a sinister undertone there, and you're trying to figure out what is going on here. My problem with the game, if you're spending time to explore this world, the game will slap you in the face and go, nope, you're getting punished for that. We're going to take away your only resource, and that is time. Once your time runs out, the game is over for you. And that was ridiculous. I wanted to see more of this world. You created this awesome, interesting world for me, and I wanted to see it. And now you're punishing me for looking at it? I couldn't do it. It really bugged me, especially since I've played this game twice, and the first time it really drew me in, and we went a particular way and we made a lot of ground. The second time we played, I was like, okay, we tried that direction. Let's go another way. And then we just got hit wall after wall of punishments for just wanting to see what was there. It was really ridiculous. And I cannot abide that in a game. So, Time Stories, you're out of here. Okay. Well, thanks for listening, guys. I want to know, what are your games that you just could not overlook? One particular thing about that game that really ruined the experience for you. If you like the video, please subscribe. My aim by the end of July is to have 100 subscribers. So help me make it happen. Thanks, guys, and have a good one.